The Sing-Song Girls of Shanghai, Han Bangqing, first translated by Eileen Chang, revised and edited by Eva Hung. Chapter 5. An empty slot is speedily filled by a new love, and a new arrangement is kept from an old flame.
It was evening. The lamps had just been lit when Lotusen Wang got in the sedan chair that took him to Snow Sands house in East Co-Prosperity Alley. Talisman announced him, and the maid propped up the bamboo curtain and welcomed him into the room. He saw that only Amity Zhu and Alan Good had arrived. They were chatting. Lotusen went in, and they saluted each other and sat down. Then Lotusen called Talisman over to tell him,
"Go to Yang's across the way to see if the things for the upstairs room have all arrived."
After Talisman was gone, Alan Good asked,
I saw your note today and thought, but there isn't any Constance in this alley. Then the manservant said there's a Constance moving in across the way tomorrow. Is that so? I've never came across the name Constance either. Where did you find her?
I will thank you all not to mention it later, when Little Rouge is here, all right?
Lotusen said, smiling. The other two laughed uproariously. A moment later, Talisman came back to report.
Everything's ready in the room. They said the 4 lamps and the bed were delivered only a while ago. The bed is set out already, and the lamps are hung up.
Now go to Lucky Spring Alley and tell them.
Lotusen ordered. Talisman said,
Yes, sir.
and withdrew. Before he left, he told the two sedan chair bearers,
Don't go away, you two. Not until I'm back.
When he approached the end of the alley, the shadowy figure loomed up in the dark and took his arm. He saw that it was Amity Zhu's steward named Longevity Zhang.
What is it?
He said, annoyed.
You give me starch. Where are you going?
Asked Longevity.
Let's go and have some fun.
The two of them walked with arms around each other's shoulders to Constance in Lucky Spring Alley. They told the old servant woman to send word upstairs.
Is Mr. Wang coming?
Constance opened the window to ask Talisman.
Master is at a dinner party. He's probably not coming.
He said.
Who did he call to the party?
Said Constance.
I don't know.
Is it Little Rouge?
I have no idea.
I see you have your master's interest at heart.
She said with a smile.
Who else can it be if it's not Little Rouge?
Talisman made no answer as he walked out of the alley with Longevity. They discussed where to go for a little sport.
Well, there's only Orchid Alley.
Too far away.
Or we could go to Sir Pan's and see if Virgil Xu is there.
Let's do that.
The two of them turned toward Security Alley and groped in the darkness to Third Pan's door. They first peeped in through the gap in the door. When they tried to push it open, they found it was latched. Longevity knocked twice, but there was no answer. He kept knocking, and finally a maid asked from within.
Who is it?
It's me.
Talisman answered.
Our miss has gone out. Sorry.
Said the maid.
Open the door anyway.
Said Talisman. They waited for a long time, but it was still dead quiet inside. The door remained shut. Longevity lost his temper. He turned sideways and started kicking hard at the door, making a racket and cursing at the same time.
Coming, coming.
Alarmed, the maid opened the door. On seeing them, she said,
Why, it's Master Zhang and Master Talisman. I was wondering who it was.
Is Master Xu here?
No, sir.
Longevity saw there was a light in the side chamber. So he barked into the room with Talisman at his heels. They saw a man came out from behind the bed curtain, clapping his hands and stamping his feet in great mirth. It was none other than Vander Xu.
Oh, so we are intruding.
The two said in unison.
Sorry to disturb.
Sorry to despise you.
The maid who came in behind them laughed, saying,
Why, I thought Master Xu was gone, but here he is, in bed.
Verger Xu lit up the opium lamp on the couch and invited Longevity Zhang to smoke. Longevity, telling Talisman to go ahead, pulled open the bed curtains and crawled straight in. There came the noise of tangled limbs tussling in bed, and then a woman shouted,
What do you think you are doing? Don't you never get enough?
The maid hurried forth to make peace.
Please don't, Master Zhang.
But Longevity refused to let go. Verder Xu grabbed him and put him up in one quick movement, saying,
All you do is horse around. There's a time for everything. Don't you have any sense at all?
Longevity brushed his own cheek with a finger, a gesture indicating,
Shame on you, giving your girl a hand, huh? But is she your girl? Shameless.
The streetwalker, Third Pan, draped her tapped jacket over her shoulders and got off the bed. Longevity kept staring and making grimaces at her. She pulled a face and gave him the evil eye. He pretended to duck his head between his shoulders in fright.
Oh dear, I'm so scared.
Stumped for a better reply, she could only come up with,
Watch it, or I'll lose my temper.
Lose your temper, even if you are to lose your trousers. Aye.
Then he stopped and went up to whisper a few words into her ear. Third Pan cried out in exasperation.
Listen to him, Master Xu. Listen to what this good friend of yours is saying.
Whether she pleaded with Longevity.
It's all my fault. I'd be much obliged if you'd overlook it, my good brother.
That's all right, since you're begging to be let off. Otherwise, I would want to ask her. We're all friends here. Isn't Ma Shi longer than Master Zhang by 3 inches?
You have your sweetheart, Master Zhang. I can't please you, so there's only Master Xu to help me out a bit.
Listen to the way she says Master Shi. Now that makes him happy, doesn't it? He's so happy, he so will be called away.
No, I don't want to listen. Nobody ever called my name.
You are a good friend, Master Talisman. Why don't you put in a good word for me?
Speaking of friends,
Werder Xu roared out, cutting him short.
I'll give you a clout in the face if you dare say any more.
fine, fine. Let's just say I'm scared of you, all right?
So, the joke is on me now.
Werder Xu rolled up his sleeves and rushed over to beat Longevity, who escaped hurriedly into the courtyard with Werder in hot pursuit. Longevity pulled out the door bolt and rushed into the alley, heading east. Just then, someone came out of the dark and bumped into him.
What's going on?
The man exclaimed. The voice sounded familiar. Werder Xu walked up to him and asked.
Is this constant blessing?
The man answered to the name, so Werder Xu took him by his arm and returned to the house, calling to Longevity.
Come in. I'll let you off this time.
Longevity crept in after him, bolted the door, and peeped at man through the bamboo curtain. It was Cloudlet's Chan Stewart, constant blessing. Longevity hurried in to ask him.
Is the party over?
How will it be over so soon? The girls' courtesans have just been sent downstairs.
Longevity Zhang thought for a moment.
Talisman, I have to go.
I'm coming with you.
Said Werder Xu. So saying, they left in a flurry. Third Pan did not even have time to see them out. The four of them walked out of the alley together and headed east until they got to Pebble Road. Longevity continued ahead innocently. Werder Xu grabbed him to tell him to go south.
I'm not going.
Longevity said to Talisman. Werder Xu pushed him from behind.
Not going, eh? Try being stubborn.
Longevity nearly fell down. He had no choice but to cross Jen's wooden bridge with them. When they got to New Street, a serving woman standing by the roadside rushed over and called out.
Master Constant!
She pulled him along by the sleeve and kept talking as she walked on, leading them to a house. She pushed the door open and walked in. In the house, an old woman of 60 or 70 sat by herself against the wall. The room was lit only by a dim oil lamp on the table. The serving woman greeted her as,
Old Mrs. Farragut, where's the opium tree? Still on the bed.
Old Mrs. Squaw replied. The maid hastened to fetch a spill, went into the inner room, and lit the wall lamp. It was made of tin plate and had a reflector mirror in the glass dome. She turned it up high and invited the four men to come sit down. Then she lit the opium lamp.
We don't want any opium. Go and fetch second one.
The woman answered yes and went. Old Mrs. Squaw groped her way into the room, her head wobbling, holding a foreign brass water pipe.
Which of you gentlemen will have a smoke?
Constant Blessing accepted the pipe, saying,
Never mind this routine of politeness.
She went back to sit in the outer room.
What kind of place is this? I must say you people know your way around.
What kind of place does it look like to you?
Well, it looks like nothing to me. A street worker house? Not really. A place for moonlighting housewives? Doesn't seem right. Open den with girls? Doesn't look like that either.
It's an opium den with a girl. But they have guests inside. So they borrow this place for us to sit here a while. Got it?
As they were talking, they heard the door creak. Constant Blessing looked out quickly and saw that it was indeed Second Wang. The minute she came in, she greeted him.
Master Constant.
She then asked for the names of the others and apologized.
Sorry, you've come at a bad time. If you don't mind the squalor, sit here for a while and have a smoke, all right?
Constant Blessing looked at Verdeshu to see what he thought. Shu, seeing that Second Wang was rather outstanding for an opium den girl, decided that it was all right to wait for a while. So he nodded his agreement. Second Wang then went to the outer room herself to fetch a pipe and 2 boxes of opium. She also told old Mrs. Guo to have the serving woman make tea. Longevity saw that there was just one bed in this inner room. The space was so cramped, there wasn't even room for a table. He called out,
Talisman, we'll go on ahead.
Verdeshu could not very well detain them further, so Longevity took his leave and went back with Talisman to Snow Sand's house in East Prosperity Alley. The party was over by then.
Where have Mr. Zhu and Mr. Wang gone?
He asked. Everybody said they had no idea. Longevity hurried away to look for Amity Zhu, while Talisman went searching for Lotus Swan at Little Rouge's in West Fort Alley. He saw Wang's sedan chair at the door and hurried in to ask the barriers.
Not long ago.
They replied. Talisman was relieved to hear that. Just then, the maid, Pilly, happened to be carrying a water kettle upstairs. He went up to her to ask a favor.
Please mention to my master that I'm here. Much obliged.
Pearlie did not answer, but beckoned for him to come up. He tiptoed up after her and sat down in the middle room while Pearlie went into the bedroom. It was a long wait, and he got impatient. He turned into his head to listen carefully. There wasn't a sound, but he dared not go downstairs. He was at the point of dozing off when he heard Lotta's cough, and then the sound of footsteps. A moment later, Pearlie lifted the door curtain and beckoned to him. He went in and saw that Lotus was sitting by him on the divan yawning, saying nothing. Pearlie was busy preparing a hot towel. Lotus took it, gave his face a wipe, and finally told Talisman to get the sedan chair ready to go home. Talisman answered
Yes, sir.
and went downstairs, shouting for the sedan chair barriers to light the lanterns. When Lotus came down and got into the chair, Talisman followed it back to Wang's residence on Fifth Avenue. Only then did he report.
I've been to Constance and spoken with them.
Lotus acknowledged this with a nod but said nothing, so Talisman helped him prepare to turn in for the light. The 15th was an auspicious day for moving house. Lotus was up by 10:30. After having a wash and some breakfast, he went to return Eileen Girls' call. Taylor's man followed him to a high honor bank in Eternal Peace Alley and delivered his master's card. A servant came out to tender his regrets, saying,
Sorry, sir, my master is not at home.
Lutherson then ordered the sedan chair to turn to East Coast Prosperity Alley. When they got there, he saw from his sedan chair a black lacquer plaque hung high over the door, with the words Constance Zhang's residence written in gold on it. He got down from the chair and walked into the courtyard. Some musicians were there, and a small stage had been set up, decorated in gold, green, vermilion, and blue. It was all very bright and gay. On seeing him, a new manservant rushed forward to offer his formal greetings, bowing down with one knee on the ground. A new serving woman, standing on the staircase, invited Miss Wang to come up. Constance also came out from her room in welcome. She was dressed in brand new clothes from top to toe, and it seemed to Lutherson that he looked more attractive than ever. Embarrassed by the way he stared at her, she suppressed her laughter, pulled out his sleeve, and pushed him into her room. Inside, everything was in perfect decorative order, which pleased Lutherson enormously. The only thing he could fault with was that the calligraphy and painting scores had just been bought from a store and were not very artistic. Constance hid her mouth with a handkerchief and offered him watermelon seeds on a plate.
So ceremonious.
He teased her. She almost laughed out loud. Then she turned abruptly around, pushed open the panel of a folding door, and stepped out. Loderson saw that the folding door opened onto a corner balcony right above the entrance and overlooking the alley. Snowson's house was directly opposite. Seeing her plaque, Loderson called out,
Talisman, go and see if Mr. Gur is there. If he is, ask him to come over.
Talisman went to deliver the message, whereupon Alan Gur immediately ambled over to greet Loderson. Constance came up to offer watermelon seeds.
Is this your lady love?
Alan asked, scrutinizing her, and then sat down. Loderson mentioned how he had just called to see Gur, and then they chatted about other things. Just then, Snowsen's maid, little sister, came to tell Alan Gur lunch was ready. Hearing this, Loderson suggested to him,
Since you haven't had lunch either, let's eat together.
Good.
Alan told the little sister to bring his lunch over, while Loderson told the maid to order a couple of dishes from the Garden of Plenty. In a moment, the food was all delivered and set out on the table by the window. Constance came up and poured 2 cups of wine, saying,
Please have some.
Little sister also helped for a while.
Enjoy your meal, sir. I will go now and do our minstrel's hair. We will come over after that.
Please ask your maestro to come and visit.
Constance said. Little sister answered yes as she left. Having had a cup or two of wine, Alan Gore felt a little dispirited. It so happened that someone was singing a tune from a con opera at the stage downstairs, and Alan beat time on the table with his fingers. Seeing he was out of sorts, Loterson suggested,
Let's play a few rounds of finger game.
Alan stuck out his fist and drank a cup at every round. After 7 or 8 rounds, they suddenly heard Constance call out at the upstairs parlor window.
Do come up, Snowsint, my dear.
Lotusman looked downstairs, and seeing it was indeed Snowscent, he said smiling to Alan,
Your lady love has come looking for you.
This was followed by the sound of bouncy shoes tripping up the stairs and Snowscent's voice saying,
Hi, Constance, my peer.
Constance invited her into the room. Alan had just lost another round, so he called out to her.
Come over here. I want to tell you something.
Snowscent was leaning on the end of the table for balance. She asked.
What is it? Do tell.
Alan knew she would not come over. He waited till she was off guard and reached for her wrist. With just one pull, she lost her balance and tumbled into his arm.
What do you think you are doing?
She cried out desperately.
Nothing. I just want you to drink a cup of wine.
Let go. Then I will drink.
He would not let go, but instead brought a cup of wine to her lips.
Drink this first.
She had no choice but to gulp it down from his hands. Then she quickly struggled to her feet and ran off. He resumed the finger game with Lotterson while she went to look at herself in the mirror, turning this way and that, and then reaching her hands to the back of her head to feel her hairdo. Constance hurried over to help tighten her chignon, remove a narcissus blossom, tidied her hair, put it back, and then looked her over again. Seeing the smoothness of Snow-Sand's elaborate chignon, she asked,
Who does your hair for you?
It's just little sister. She will never learn.
I think she's quite good. This style is rather shapely.
Look, it's so puffed up. Isn't it ugly?
It's a bit puffed up, but it looks fine. She's used to doing it this way and probably find it hard to change. Don't you think so?
Let me look at your chignon.
At first, my old grandmother did my hair. It wasn't bad. Now I have the maid do it. Did it look alright to you?
It tilts too much to one side. Though there is a style called the lopsided look. If it tilts too much, it doesn't look right.
The two of them got on so well that Ellinger and Lotus Wang stopped their finger game and drinking to listen to them. When they heard the bit about the lopsided look, they both laughed.
How is it you two aren't playing anymore?
Constance asked with a smile.
We forgot to. Listening to the two of you chat.
Replied Lotus.
I'm not playing anymore. I've had more than 10 cups.
Do have a couple more.
Said Constance as she picked up the wine pot to pour for him.
Please don't, Constance. He loses his wit when he drinks. Why don't you offer Mr. Wang some instead?
Would you like some?
Constance turned to Lotus, smiling.
5 more rounds, and we eat. It won't hurt, will it?
Said Lotus. He then turned to Snowsand.
Don't worry. I wouldn't let him drink too much.
Snowsand could not very well stop them. She looked on as they played 5 more rounds. Constance poured the wine and then handed the wine pot to the maid, who took it away. Lotterson also called for rice to be served.
We'll drink again in the evening.
He said with a smile. So they ate, wiped their faces, and left the table after it was cleared. Snowson immediately urged Ellinger to leave with her. But he said,
Let's rest a while.
Why rest? I won't have it.
In that case, why don't you go back first?
she stared at him.
You are not coming?
He just smiled and refused to move. She got in a huff and pointed a finger at his face.
Watch out if you do show up later.
Turning around, she said to Lotterson,
Do come by, Mr. Wang. Come and visit sometime. Constance.
Constance promised and hurried off to see her out, but she was already on her way downstairs. When Constance came back to the room, she looked at Alan Gore and let out a titter. He felt fed up and ill at ease. It was Lotterson who said,
You'd better go over there. Your lady love is a bit upset.
Nonsense. Who cares if she's upset or not?
Come on. She only asked you to go back with her because she's fond of you. So why not do as she asks?
Only then did Alan get up. Lotterson saluted him.
Please come early tonight.
Alan smiled and took his leave. This is the end of chapter 5.